Hey gamers, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we are continuing with the alphabet series that I've been going through, and I've usually been doing top 10s for each letter, but today I'm going to do something a little bit differently, and that is I'm going to be combining the next two letters. I'm going to be combining J and K, and I'm just going to be doing a top 5 for each of them. Just because when I made the top 10 lists for each of these, I was like, I didn't feel comfortable having some of those games on that top 10 because I didn't think they were amazing games. And when I'm making these lists, I don't want to be putting on games that I don't think are amazing and really good games. Where, these were two pretty hard letters for myself to make a top 10. Of course, I could, but I don't think those games were worthy of being on a top 10 list. There's a few big games in some of these letters that I have not played that probably would be on this if I had played them. But I've not played every single game out there. So this is of course my top 5 of each letter of J and K. And with that being said, let's just jump into these two lists today. I'm going to start with the J and then go into the Ks. So my top 5 games, I'm going to start with one honorable mention for each of these. The only honorable mention for J is the Jekyll vs. Hyde, which is a very unique trick-taking game that I have enjoyed. It was just outside that top 5 list. But yeah, so Jekyll vs. Hyde is the honorable mention. Now going into the top 5. Starting with number 5. Number 5 is a very popular, or at least it was. I don't know if it's super popular anymore. This is Jamaica. This is a racing game with a pirate theme around it, where you are rolling dice and then playing out cards to do different things, moving along the race waters, I suppose, and then also collecting different things into your boat, golds and treasures and cards and stuff like that. And it's a fun family weight sort of game that I've enjoyed. I actually ended up getting rid of this game a few years back. But it's one of those games when I got rid of it, I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of it. But of course, we can't keep every single game here. So yes, number 5 is Jamaica. Going to number 4. Number 4 is a hidden movement game. And this is one of my favorite hidden movement games with some caveats. This game is Jaws. Jaws is split into 2 different distinct phases. And the first phase of this game, I absolutely adore. It's my favorite hidden movement game for that particular phase, where one player is playing as the shark and they're going around trying to eat up swimmers along the beachheads, and then the other players are going around the town, and there's people, you got people on the water searching for Jaws and trying to shoot him with barrels and stuff, and you're trying to find Jaws basically for those players. And that part is fantastic. Like I said, it probably is my favorite hidden movement game for that phase. The second phase, you're playing on the boat, just on the boat, and you're trying to shoot Jaws that's in the water around the boat. I don't like the second half of the game pretty much at all, but the first half of Jaws I absolutely adore. It's one of my favorite hidden movement games for that. So number 4, Jaws. Going to number 3. Number 3 is a roll and write version of a game, which is kind of surprising because usually when people make roll and write versions of games, they're okay, they're mediocre, or they're so similar to the other game that I'm like, why did we make this? This is Joan of Arc, Orleans Draw and Write, which is obviously the roll and write version of Orleans, which is one game that I absolutely adore. This one is similar to it. It's basically more of a sequel, though. It's not a carbon copy of Orleans, but just on a roll and write piece of paper. There's different things that are happening in this one. It is a drafting game, and I love the drafting part for this one. And it's unique enough and different enough from the original where I justify owning both of them. But it's similar in aspects that you still get that feel of the original with some new things happening and some fun things that are happening in this. So number 3 is Joan of Arc, Orleans, Draw and Write. Going to number 2. Number 2 J game is a very popular party game, one of the most popular party games. That is Just One. Now, I'm not a huge party game person per se. When I talk about party games, I'm usually like, yeah, they're kind of not my thing, which is very, very true. And there is an S tier for me for party games There is Codenames, there is So Clover, and there is Just One. This is one of those games that I pull out if I'm going to bring a party game with me to group games. This is going to be one of the possibilities that I bring with. Most party games get kind of set aside because they're so similar to other games, and this is similar to other games. I just think it does it better than all of those games. But yeah, so number 2, a party game, Just One. Now going to number 1, my favorite J game. This is Jaipur. This is a small little card game where you're collecting sets and selling sets. And that's pretty much the whole game. On your turn, you're either going to be collecting new cards and replacing them with some of the cards that are in your hand, or else you're going to be selling the cards that are in your hand and trying to sell big sets of it to get lots of points. It's a very simple card game. It's pretty old at this point in time, but it's still one that holds up today, and it's fun, it's fast, it's everything I want a card game to be. So my number 1 J game is Jaipur. Now let's go into the next list, the top 5 K games. K games was a difficult one as well, so that's why I decided to jumble in J and K. And my honorable mention for K is Cataranga, which is a very similar game to chess, but the pieces, when you're moving them, change abilities of how that particular piece moves depending on which spot they are currently standing on. You're like, oh, I'm standing on this piece. Now this piece can move like a bishop, or this moves like a knight, or this one moves like this. And it's just a fun game. If you like chess, I would definitely check out Cataranga. Going to the top 5 now, actually. So my number 5 K game is Keltis. Now, if you've played Lost Cities, this is extremely similar to that, but in a multiplayer fashion. It's, I believe, 2 to 4 players, where Lost Cities is just a 2-player head-to-head game. But it's very similar to that one. You're playing out cards in either descending or ascending order, and you're moving up on these tracks, getting the rewards. You don't want to move up on a track if you're not going to move up a lot on it, though, because you're going to get negative points for those. So it feels very, very similar to Lost Cities, but just in a multiplayer fashion. And I think it's a fantastic game, fantastic design. So number 5, Keltis. Going to number 4. Number 4 is a real-time game. This is Caro, I believe. And this is a real-time dice chucking game where you're flipping over this truck that is carrying your fuel, and you have that much time to roll these dice, and you're rolling these dice that are going to give you certain resources to buy different cards, do different actions, and you don't want to run out of the sand timer. It's very thematic to me. I think it's a fun game. It's kind of pretty colorful, so it's fun, it's fast, it looks great. It's got the apocalyptic theme, which of course I really enjoy. So number 4 is Caro. Going to number 3. Number 3 is a very popular game that actually has a series of games. This is Kingdomino. Now, which one of these games in the Kingdomino series would I pick? It would probably be Kingdomino Origins, but there's not really a wrong answer for this one, because there's like Kingdomino, Queendomino, Dragomino, Kingdomino Duel, Kingdomino Origins. Then they made another one. I think it went away from the Kingdomino name. I think it's called like Moon River or something like that. I apologize if I got the name wrong. But there's a whole series of games built around this original game, which it's basically like a drafting game where you're putting tiles into a certain area and you're trying to make a large area with similar terrain type or the same terrain type that has other bonuses in it to have big multiplayers. And when you're drafting, you are picking a tile, and then you're picking what tile you're going to take next round. And depending on which tile you take, that kind of determines your position, or first, second, third, or fourth for drafting for next time. So I really like the drafting part of it. I like the sort of city building aspect it has in it. So number 3 is Kingdomino, basically the series. Pick whichever one you like. I would pick Kingdomino Origins myself, but that's just me. Going to number 2. Number 2 is the newest game on this list and the other list. This is Gnar. This is a little card game, and it's an engine building game. On your turn, you are going to basically take a card and put it into your area. And you have sort of two different areas where you're building out this engine. There is one area where you're building on top of different cards of the same color cards. When you place a card on top of these other similar cards, you're going to get all of the rewards for that. So it's like this big thing, and if you get a lot of cards in it, you're going to get a lot of rewards in that. Or you can sell those cards to build up this other engine that is going to be even more powerful, but you have to basically destroy this engine to build the big engine. And so it's interesting how you're going to work through it and what strategy you're going to go with. I've done several different strategies in this. I'm terrible at this game, and I don't think I've ever even come close to winning this one. But it's so much fun and it's so fast, and I love engine building games. And the fact that you're building two different engines in this one, and you have to destroy one engine to build another engine, is very fascinating to myself. So number 2 is Gnar. Going to number one is the game that I've definitely played more than any other game that is on these lists. I might have played this game as much as I've played all the other games combined, because I've played this game so much, and it's an older game. This is King of Tokyo. This is a dice chucking monster versus monster. You can play up to 6 players, I think, and you're rolling dice and hitting other monsters, or else you can try to win by getting 20 points, but nobody usually does that. We're all trying to basically destroy the other monsters, kill off the other monsters, and be the last monster standing. I played this so many times. I played it with my son and my nephew. I've played it with my game group. It works with a whole bunch of different people. Even though it looks like a kid's game, I bring this to regular adult game night, and we play it, and we have a great time playing it. So my number 1K game is King of Tokyo, a game I've loved for years and years, and it is very, very popular. It's still, to this day, very popular, and it's getting new renditions of it coming out. Different games in this world are coming out for it, which I'm just very excited about. So yes, that is both the top 5 games for J and K. So make sure to comment down below your thoughts on these games. Tell me what your favorite games in J and K are. But either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.